Welcome back to another episode of Goodbye Magics. Today with Emilio Vernazza. He is our partner lawyer in Panama and in Panama City. I'm here in Costa Rica. And today we have a very important update regarding the Friendly Nations Visa in Panama. Unfortunately, this live stream has to be in English. Just to let you know, we can only speak here English at the moment. So we will just go through the new rules, what will coming up in about 90 days, 18th of August. So that means if you want to get the Panamanian residency with the old rules, a permanent residency, then you have to move quickly and act now and don't wait any longer because you have only 90 days left with the old rules. After that, it will really getting more strict and more tight to get this and to secure it. And this is always what I said to the people, you should move on with your flag theory plan B and execute it and take the residencies or start your companies, whatever, just do it, start acting because governments, they like to make it more harder for you to secure something, and in future it will be getting more and more complicated. That's for sure. So that's why you should always act and execute your plan, what you desire. So maybe, Emilio, before we dive into your presentation you prepared, it will be, anyway, a very quick update. So we will not talk here 1 or 2 hours. You can always ask your questions in the comment section. So just write us your questions. And in the end, Emilio will then look for these questions and answer it. But Emilio, maybe you can just introduce yourself, who you are. And
thank you, Sergio, and thank you for this additional chance to present to your audience. My name is Emilio Cornejo Vernazza. As Sergio previously introduced me, I'm a founding partner of PGS. PGS Attorneys has been providing services for foreigners who are looking to apply, take advantage, apply for residency, relocate to Panama, or take advantage of our benefits tax system, corporate structures. And we've been doing this for almost 15 years. I have had the pleasure to make presentations like this, not only online, but also in LA, Bogota, Medellin, Vienna. And it's always a pleasure to update interested parties on what's going on over here. Friendly Nations has always been quite flexible. It is known for being one of the most flexible residency permits out there. And most of you probably have heard before there were changes coming. Actually, there were rumors that Friendly Nations was over, or there was change before that. Back in October, I can recall people panicked because immediately there were these strong rumors that something happened. Well, guys, eventually we have changes officialized. They were approved on May 7th, but made public only 2 days ago, on May 2020, actually. And these changes will be enforceable starting on August 18th, 90 days after being published. So without further ado, let me see if I can manage to share a quick presentation.
Mm-hmm. Emilio, before we dive into that, maybe you can just again repeat the benefits. What are the tax benefits, for example, or in general the benefits to have a permanent residency in Panama and also live in this country?
Very well, sure. Number one, by obtaining permanent residency, you will also be eligible for a tax residency in Panama, which means you will be taxed according to Panamanian law. As probably some or most of you know, Panama has a territorial tax system, which basically means that we only tax income made or resulting out of commercial activity that happened within our territory. In other words, if you're a tax resident in Panama, you could invoice people from all over the world, offer your services, collect your services, your fees, even declare these in Panama as foreign income, and this won't be taxed. You're not avoiding any kind of rule. This is the way it works. It's a territorial tax system. We are not the only one with this kind of structure, but we do have some other benefits. Panama, if you look it up on the map, it's right in the middle of the Americas, and that has made us some sort of a hub, not only for logistic purposes, but for business purposes. We're very well interconnected with the rest of the continent and with the rest of the world, actually. We have good internet quality and nice infrastructure. Oceans, Atlantic and Pacific, just an hour and a half away from each other. And we use the dollar as a currency. We actually have another currency, Balboa, but it's paired to the dollar. This has been like this since 1904, and I don't think it will change anytime soon. Of course, this has its disadvantages being locked down to the dollar, but we also do not experience the kind of inflation that many Latin American countries experience. Sergio is in Costa Rica. I'm pretty sure that if he has been there for a few months, he can tell that inflation affects on a monthly basis in most countries in Latin America. That's not something we have experienced. There are many other reasons, but I don't want to bore you with that and suddenly seem like a car salesman trying to sell Panama.
Yes.
So I know you want to know what's going on. You probably read about this online already, but as usually, there's a lot of information online. Some of it is accurate, some of it not that much. So let's see what happened a couple of days ago.
So I just put here now your presentation, should be visible. One thing I wanted to just ask you to add regarding your taxation system, territorial taxation system. There are a lot of territorial taxation systems in countries where they look, where do you render your service, right? And in Panama, it's like that, if you're a client sitting abroad, it's like foreign income, right? What is tax-free and not where you are rendering it. Is it right?
Correct. If your client is from abroad and your services is taking place abroad, then it's considered deemed to be foreign income. I mean, if you are a software developer and my firm or myself here in Panama, I hire you and I pay you here for your services, that's considered local income. However, if you provide the same service for me, but for something I'm doing in Spain, even if I'm Panamanian, but I'm in Spain, then whatever I hire you for is considered foreign income.
Okay. So
and hence
great.
no tax. Okay, can you see the presentation?
Yes, you can click through it, and I will switch off my microphone now.
Very well. What took place 2 days ago was the publishing of Executive Decree 197. And this executive decree has only 5 articles. These 5 articles, they dedicated 3 articles to modify the existing rules and another article to make it enforceable in 90 days. Let's first look at what are the current rules. And current rules, I mean the ones that you can still benefit from if you submit your application within the next 88 days. Right now, in order to submit your application, we will need, of course, your passport and a second ID, police records with apostille. If you cannot get apostille fast, that happens, you can always go to the nearest Panamanian embassy and they can also validate it. A business intent by incorporating a company. At the moment, by the sole fact of owning at least 50% of the issued shares of a Panamanian company that has no activity, that gives you enough substance to provide you have a business intent. A private bank account, a private savings or a current account where you have $5,000 at least. And with these requirements, you get permanent residency upon approval. This is 2, 3, 4 months later after submitting the application. The fact that you gain permanent residency with one sole application, of course, we can understand it's quite advantageous, but the main advantage is that once you are a permanent resident, you can also get a Panamanian ID that will also become your tax ID. So, in other words, if you submit the application, let's say in a few weeks, still under current rules, by the end of the year, you will probably most likely have a tax ID from Panama. These are the current rules. Let's see what happened now. Under new rules, enforceable starting on the 18th of August, we will only require your passport. A second ID, which could be your national ID or a driver's license, is no longer being required. So there's some benefits there. I've known of clients that they don't have a driver's license or they haven't renewed their national ID. So that adds up, okay? Police records are still being requested. These police records must be not older than 6 months. This hasn't changed. But here's what it gets tricky. Now, instead of having a business intent, this is having a company, you must have work reasons or investment reasons. And let's look at what this executive decree has defined for each one of them. Work reasons, we need to prove some kind of work relationship with a Panamanian company. What we actually need to provide is a work letter in letterheads of a Panamanian company where the legal representative of this company is confirming the applicant's salary, position, and committing themselves as a company to bear repatriation expenses. This is not completely new. This is something similar. We have something similar when an applicant includes their spouse and kid. They have to sign a letter where they commit to pay for the expenses of repatriation. That's not much, but well, this work letter can be drafted. It should be from a Panamanian company that exists, and this is proven by a certificate of good standing. This is not complicated to obtain. The lawyers, us, we take care of this, but we need to prove that the company exists. And last but not least, we need to have this company with an operation license. This is the trickiest part, because an operation license basically indicates that the company has a commercial activity in Panama. That's number one. Number two, the fact that you have operation license triggers taxes, not only at a national level, but also at a municipality level. Panama has these two states of taxes, like many other countries. However, many municipalities are not that well developed yet. The main one from the city, from the capital city, is the moment that the municipality of Panama notice that a company has a new operational license, immediately they trigger local taxes. What are these local or municipal taxes? Not much. Basically, depending on the type of commercial activity that the company declares they have, is about $10 per month. There are more expensive ones, but most of these commercial activities are taxed at $10 per month. The fact that the company has an operation license also triggers another fixed tax of $100 per year. What we are considering doing with these new rules is to connect clients with an accountant that will take care of all of this accounting stuff. There's a lot of little details. It is not expensive, but you need to know how to do it. So this is something that will add up. And finally, in order to have your residency approved, you will need a work permit. When do we apply for this? During the application of the residency permit. And here I have to make a distinction. We first have to apply for a residency permit at the National Immigration Service. And at the moment that the residency is being evaluated, analyzed, we have to request a work permit. We must show proof of this to immigration in order to obtain your residency permit. What's funny here is that this particular work permit has not been yet legislated. The government must, anytime soon, approve or provide, let's say, the rules for this work permit for this new Friendly Nations Visa. As soon as we have this, we will let people know what to do, but at the moment, we don't have these rules in hand. So I mentioned we have work reasons, and we also have investment reasons. Let's look at this. The investment reasons are very straightforward. You must invest $200,000 or more in real estate in Panama. That's it, $200,000 or more in real estate. Title should be in the applicant's name. So in order to apply as an investor under Friendly Nations, just having a property on the name of a foundation or a company will not be enough. It should be in the applicant's name. And something else that this executive decree has included is that the applicant must finance part of the purchase of this real estate. So you don't have to invest the whole amount. You can invest probably 30, 40% and apply for financing, bank financing for the rest. So we look at these work reasons and investment reasons. There's a bit more to consider. Now there's no bank account needed. Under new rules, they have eliminated the need of having a bank account with 5,000 US dollars. So that's something that will definitely save us some steps. But the main topic to consider about these new rules is that they won't grant permanency upon approval. You'll first obtain a 2-year residency permit, And getting close to these 2 years, we must provide documents that you either still have your work relationship with this Panamanian company, or you still have your real estate investment. You will be required to show proof of this in order to obtain the permanent residency 2 years later. And guys, that's basically it. That's basically the changes. There's not much to it. As mentioned, it's a 5-article decree where basically 3 of these articles made the modifications. One thing to add is that Taiwan has been eliminated. China, Taipei, Taiwan has been eliminated from the list, and Hong Kong has been included back. They were removed later on, and now they're back in the list. So other than that, Sergio, that's what the changes to consider are. And now I'm open for any questions or doubts.
Okay. So I have the first question from myself. So what is, let's say somebody just want to secure it now for himself, and he has a family, let's say wife and kids, but they cannot obtain now the documents. Maybe it's even in different citizenship, whatever. So he just decided, or the woman or the man, doesn't matter, just decide to go now in the next 90 days to Panama to apply with you for this permanent residency under the old rules of Friendly Nations Visa. Can he in future put his dependents under the same rules, so that they, I don't know, in 1 or 2 years they come to Panama and say, okay, now we apply as dependents, and they can still join? Or is it not possible to have come the whole family directly to Panama?
That's a very good question. Keep in mind that family may apply all together, or the main applicant may apply first and dependents can be added up later. Given that this executive decree has only affected friendly nations, in your example, the applicant may come now, apply under current rules, get permanent residency sometime approved this year, and even next year include their dependents, because dependent residency is not necessarily friendly nations. There's actually a special category of residency permit for dependents, and that has not been affected. So very clearly, you can come now, apply only with your passport, second ID, and police records. We take care of everything else, company, bank accounts, and so on. And then as soon as you can collect the rest of the documents for your spouse, for your children, we can include them.
Okay, that's great. So it makes it much more easier.
Presentation, or do you want me to leave it there?
Excuse me, what did you say? Should
I stop sharing the presentation, or do you want me to leave it there?
Oh, it's okay. I already removed it from the screen, so you can stop it.
Thank you. Good to know.
So we have a question regarding the enter at the moment to Panama. Is it possible to enter Panama for a visa at the moment?
Yeah, of course. Back in 12th of October of 2020, Tocumen International Airport reopened for tourists. We have been receiving applicants ever since then. Over 100 applicants in the past 6-7 months. And yeah, you can come to Panama. We are requesting, Panama, the government, not myself, requesting a negative COVID test, a PCR test, not older than 48 hours. That's it. If you are coming from any South American country, and South America for our standards, Colombia and below, even if you bring the test, at the moment, you will be required to quarantine for 3 days. If you're coming from anywhere else in the world, just show your negative test and you can go directly to your hotel or Airbnb or whatever you want. Okay.
But just always, doesn't matter when you look now with this video, maybe you watch it 2 weeks later or something like that. So just inform yourself over the internet if it's still the same rules, because everything can change at the moment very quickly.
Yes, indeed.
So then we have another question. Being a non-dom in Cyprus, can the Friendly Nations visa still be used, or one excludes the other? So you can have as many residencies as you want around the world, but regarding your tax residency, you should have a clear structure. So if you say, okay, I only want to be tax resident in Cyprus, then be sure that you met all the requirements in Cyprus to be there tax resident, and you can still have your permanent residency in Panama and just don't use it, or sometimes come to Panama, right, every 2 years, for example, but you will not be then a tax resident. So this is like the most important things to consider here, I think.
Correct.
Maybe you want to add something?
Yeah, not most of it. I have several clients that they have up to 5, 6, 7 different residencies. Panama won't deny you the right to apply for a residency if you have other residencies. No problem.
Yeah.
As long as you qualify under one of the 49, 50 nationalities under friendly nations, of course.
Exactly. So then we have from Torsten a question. We started the process for the Panama Friendly Nations Visa in April and received already the provisional residence until October 29th, 2021. Are we affected by the change?
Regards to Torsten, no, you're not affected at all. Given that your application was filed under current regulations, it won't affect what will happen in the next 88 days. Any application that is filed before August 18 will still follow current rules. So even if your residency hasn't been approved yet, they will definitely follow current rules. And having applied in April, most likely you have your residency approved even before August 18. Immigration is moving fast at the moment.
Yes, that's why we make now this update, because it's urgent. You should come now to Panama if you want to apply with the old rules, right? So it's still possible in the next 90 days or 88 days. And after August 18, the new rules will be applied. And then it's not possible anymore, or more harder to do it, right?
More harder, definitely. Yes. Just something quick to consider is that we're advising clients not to think of August 18. Try to come by August 1st. Give us a couple of weeks to make sure that the residency can be filed. If you arrive on August 15 and we haven't done anything yet, we haven't incorporated your company or set up your bank account, it will be quite difficult to fit it in those 2-3 last days.
Yes, exactly. So don't come on the last day.
Just in case. We're talking about that day, but don't think about that day. Try to think of end of July, beginning of August.
Yeah, because I was also asking Emilio already about that. Is it possible to file an incomplete application, right? That I can say, okay, I will bring my police record, let's say 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, or I don't know, bring the bank statement a little bit later. But this is not possible. So it's not possible to file for an incomplete application. So you have to consider this date, 18th of August. So better come 2 weeks ahead or earlier, or much more earlier, to be sure that everything will be ready for your application. So, will also something change for the Panamanian retirement visa, pensionado?
Okay, no, so far there are no changes announced and not even being rumored. Last change to this visa was back in 2008 when they increased the minimum retirement pension from $500 to $1,000. At the moment, that stands. This is one of the most relevant residency permits. Even before friendly nations, people used to apply under this a lot. Panama actually has become one of the most attractive place for retirees from all over the world. Certain areas are quite nice for retirees.
Mm-hmm. So then we have a German question. I will translate it, but we anyway already answered that. So I was like, so I could apply with the old rules now before August, and then my wife could come next year to apply as a dependent, right?
Correct. As mentioned, friendly nations is the category, the residency that has been affected. The dependents one hasn't. Dependents of a permanent resident can always apply, even if these friendly nations have changed so far.
Okay, so then is there a minimum physical stay per year at all?
Not at all, but once you have become a permanent resident, you must visit Panama at least once every 2 years. What the law actually states is that if you spend more than 2 years outside of Panama, your residency will be suspended. Just to clear out, if this happens, maybe because of the pandemic, you couldn't fly back or something like that, we can always reactivate your residency between that second year and the 6th. If you spend more than 6 years outside of Panama, immigration will think you don't want to be a resident anymore and cancel your residency.
Okay, that's good to know, to make that clear. So, and then the last question, do I have to come personally to Panama, or can I apply remote?
Unfortunately, or fortunately maybe, yes, you still have to come. Remote applications are being considered sometime probably next year. Immigration, we understand they're working on some kind of procedure to at least submit the application remotely, but that's not the case at the moment. at least 10 days or 2 weeks are necessary to file the application, as long as we have initiated certain preparatory steps prior to that. So yeah, you still have to come to Panama to submit the application and later on to collect your permanent residency card.
Yes. So it's also important to consider when you get residencies abroad, you should be always there because immigration want to see you. Sometimes they want to have fingerprints from you or whatever, they want to see you. You cannot apply for a residency when you're not there. It's a little bit strange. Exactly. So now it's the last question I see here. How expensive is it to get the visa now? Maybe you can compare to the future because you showed there's a lot of rules changed. Maybe it's much more expensive in future to get it, or will be the price the same?
The price may increase a little bit. At the moment, under the current application rules, it could cost you altogether around $5,500, give or take. That includes setting up the company, setting up a bank account, residency fees, and all government expenses related to the application. That will change in the future. There won't be needed a bank account as mentioned, so we can save some money there. But now we need an operational license for your company, and we also need a work permit. Unfortunately, this work permit hasn't been yet regulated, so we need to know what will be required in order to include these expenses. I don't think it will be grossly more expensive than what it is right now, but you also have to consider that you have to submit 2 applications, one now and one in 2 years. So that will definitely add up.
Okay, maybe you can just also add what does it cost per dependent roundabout?
In government expenses, it's around $1,500, $1,500 if the dependent is 12 years old or older. There's one of these expenses that is safe for minors, under 12 years old, and that's instead of $1,500, it will be $700. We don't add up legal fees, but government expenses have to be considered. Of course, if you have a particular, let's say, a structure, you want to ask how much will it be for both parents and 2, 3, 4, 5 kids, just let us know, including their ages, their respective ages, and we'll be happy to specifically quote how much will it cost.
Yes. So please just click on the link under the video to our blog article, and there you will find an formula what you can fill out and send it, and then Emilio will get directly your contact details, and he will give you then a quote. What does it cost? What are all expenses? And which documents you have to bring and when you should come, and so on and so on. So
exactly.
If you want to have contact to Emilio, then you can just do that on our webpage. So I think that was all relevant questions right now. I think it was also, we was talking now about 30 minutes. It was a nice update and showed also now you as a viewer. So if you want to become Panamanian permanent resident, then you should act now when you want to use this Friendly Nations visa.
We're still in time, yes.
Yeah. There's somebody has another question. Are there any restrictions regarding the company, for example, consultancy?
There is one restriction. As a foreigner, your company should not engage in retail business. Wholesale, services, anything else is allowed openly for foreigners. Only retail business.
Okay. But anyway, it will be, the current rules, it will be anyway a letterbox company, right? So you don't need to use it. But in future, you have to...
It will be a letterbox company, but having an operational license, as mentioned, will trigger certain tax liabilities, and that's why we will connect clients with an accountant to take note of this. It's not expensive. It won't be huge taxes, just a few dollars, but if not done properly, then there will be huge penalties. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, with the old rules, when you apply with the old rules.
Oh, sorry, on the old rules? Yeah, letterbox company, exactly.
Yes, and then the new rules, sure, you have to prove that it's getting more strict now. Then,
exactly.
Okay, so we have already the first person who wrote you. Looking forward.
Received yesterday, and yes, I believe one of my staff colleagues are already working on that answer.
So if you want to do that, and if you want to act now, then please just contact Emilio, our partner lawyer in Panama City, and then all your other questions, they will answer it for sure. And yeah, otherwise I would say thank you so much, Emilio. It was a great update call.
Thank you for the opportunity, Sergio.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Have a great day. Bye.
Likewise. Bye-bye.